You're in the middle of a sentence, and for a fraction of a second, a basic word just vanishes. Or you glance at your laptop, and your eyes take longer than usual to refocus. You tell yourself, "I'm just tired." Maybe. But sometimes, what feels like ordinary tiredness is part of a broader pattern of cognitive fatigue. Attention slips, memory becomes less reliable, words take longer to retrieve, and simple mental tasks suddenly require more effort. Brain fog is not a single disease or a precisely defined neurological event. It is a broad term used for experiences involving problems with attention, memory, concentration, language, and mental clarity. And it often overlaps with fatigue and sleep problems. So today, we're looking at 5 subtle warning signs that may appear when your cognitive system is becoming overloaded, and what you can do when you notice them. The first sign is micro-hesitation in speech. You know the word. You know exactly what you mean. But for a second, the word will not come out. You might say, that thing, or pause before a word you normally use without thinking. Occasional word-finding difficulty is completely normal. But if you notice it happening alongside poor concentration, mental fatigue, or difficulty following conversations, it can be a useful signal that your cognitive resources are being stretched. Sleep loss, fatigue, stress, and other conditions can all affect attention and memory. So the important question is not, did I forget one word? It is this becoming a pattern? The second sign appears in your vision. After long periods of screen use, you may notice blurred vision, tired eyes, headaches, or that switching your focus from your screen to something farther away feels slower. That is a recognized feature of digital eye strain. It does not prove that brain fog is developing. But when visual fatigue arrives together with mental fatigue, difficulty concentrating, and prolonged screen exposure, it can be a useful reason to stop and reset instead of forcing yourself through another hour. Your eyes may be tired, even when your mind is trying to keep working. Warning sign number 3 is a lower tolerance for sensory distraction. The air conditioner suddenly feels loud. Background conversations become harder to ignore. A notification pulls your attention away from the task you were doing. Normally, your brain filters enormous amounts of irrelevant information while keeping attention on what matters. When you are fatigued or sleep-deprived, sustained attention can become less stable. Attention can drift, return, and drift again. That does not mean your brain is damaged. It means the system responsible for maintaining attention may be running below its normal level, and that can feel surprisingly uncomfortable. The fourth signal is task switching friction. You answer one message, open a document, check something else, and suddenly you cannot remember what you were doing 5 seconds ago. You return to the original task and have to reread the last paragraph just to rebuild the context. This matters because working memory helps us temporarily hold and manipulate information while we perform a task. Sleep loss and mental fatigue can interfere with attention and working memory, making transitions between tasks feel more expensive. If this happens repeatedly, the answer may not be more willpower. It may be fewer interruptions. And then there is the fifth signal, the sudden feeling that your mind has become heavy after a demanding period, or sometimes after a meal. People often call this a food coma, but the experience can have many possible explanations, including meal size, blood glucose changes, normal post-meal physiology, or simply accumulated fatigue. So do not treat a heavy head after eating as a specific diagnostic sign of brain fog. Instead, pay attention to the larger pattern. Does the heaviness come with sleepiness, poor concentration, slower thinking, difficulty remembering what you were just doing? The pattern is more informative than one isolated sensation. If symptoms are persistent, severe, worsening, or interfering with daily life, they deserve proper medical evaluation rather than a social media diagnosis. Brain fog can have many different causes, and the right response depends on the cause. Now comes the important part. What should you do when you recognize these signals? First, reduce cognitive input. Close unnecessary tabs. Silence notifications. Stop switching between tasks. Second, give your eyes and attention a real break. Look away from the screen and focus on something in the distance. Third, hydrate normally, especially if you have not been drinking enough. And most importantly, protect sleep. Sleep loss can impair attention, working memory, reaction speed, and decision-making. Sometimes the most powerful cognitive intervention is not another productivity trick. It is recovery. So stop thinking of brain fog as a mysterious switch that suddenly turns your brain off. The experience is often more gradual and more complicated than that. A missing word, a drifting attention span, visual fatigue, difficulty switching tasks, a growing sense of mental heaviness. None of these signs alone proves that brain fog is coming. But together, they can tell you something valuable. Your cognitive system may need less input, fewer interruptions, and more recovery. Listen before you push harder, because sometimes the smartest thing your brain can do is stop.